Springboks v All Blacks. USA emerges as shock host for greatest rivalry series. Decider Rugby's most iconic rivalry may soon take center stage in one of the sport's fastest-growing markets, with reports suggesting that the United States is poised to host a decisive test between the Springboks and the All Blacks later this year. Later in 2026, South Africa will welcome New Zealand for a historic four-test tour, a series being billed as the revival of rugby's greatest rivalry. While 3 of those matches will be staged on South African soil, growing momentum behind the scenes indicates that the 4th and final test could be played in the USA, a move that would mark a bold commercial and strategic step for both unions. According to a report by Rapport, SA Rugby and New Zealand Rugby are now close to an agreement that would see the series decider staged in America, with the exact venue yet to be finalized. While Dublin and London were initially floated as alternative neutral hosts, the United States has reportedly taken the lead, reflecting rugby's increasing ambition to crack the lucrative North American market ahead of the 2031 Rugby World Cup. That a historic series reborn, the upcoming tour already carries enormous significance. It will mark the first full test series between the Springboks and the All Blacks since 1996, a remarkable statistic considering the two nations' shared dominance of the global game. SA Rugby and NZ Rugby officially unveiled the tour details in October, confirming that the All Blacks will face the Springboks at Ellis Park in Johannesburg, DHL Stadium in Cape Town, and FNB Stadium in Soweto. Each of those venues is steeped in rugby history, ensuring that the South African leg of the tour will be played in front of passionate, partisan crowds. In addition to the tests, Scott Robertson's All Blacks will take on all 4 South African United Rugby Championship franchises, the Stormers, Sharks, Bulls, and Lions, in what promises to be a brutal and revealing tour schedule. Those matches will test New Zealand's depth, adaptability, and resilience long before the series reaches its climax. What remained unclear until now, however, was the location of the 4th test, the match that could ultimately decide bragging rights between the world's 2 most successful rugby nations. Why the USA makes sense, while the idea of South Africa versus New Zealand being played outside the traditional rugby heartlands may once have seemed far-fetched. The logic behind a US-hosted test is increasingly compelling. Both SA Rugby and NZ Rugby have been vocal about the importance of expanding their global footprint, and the United States represent a market with enormous commercial upside. Rugby participation numbers are rising steadily. Major League Rugby continues to establish itself, and World Rugby has already awarded the Men's Rugby World Cup to the USA in 2031, followed by the Women's Tournament in 2033. A Springboks All Blacks test on American soil would serve as a flagship event in that build-up, a statement of intent as much as a spectacle. Recent history suggests the appetite is there. In November 2025, nearly 60,000 fans packed in a Soldier Field in Chicago to watch Ireland face New Zealand, reprising their famous 2016 clash at the same venue. The success of that event reportedly left a strong impression on New Zealand rugby, which is eager to continue growing the All Blacks brand in North America. The All Blacks are no strangers to U.S. audiences. They have faced the USA Eagles on American soil in both 2014 and 2021, recording emphatic victories on both occasions, while also playing Ireland and other Tier 1 nations in high-profile fixtures. For South Africa, too, the USA holds positive associations. Springboks American history. The Springboks have played in the United States on 2 previous occasions. Their first appearance came in 2001, when they faced the USA Eagles in Houston. More memorably, they returned in 2018 to play Wales in Washington, D.C., a match that marked Rassie Erasmus' first game in charge as head coach. That encounter was seen as an important milestone in South Africa's global engagement strategy, and the current administration has continued to explore opportunities beyond traditional markets. A neutral venue test between the Springboks and All Blacks would be rare territory. Outside of Rugby World Cups, the 2 sides have only met a handful of times away from either nation. Pandemic disruption forced them to play twice in Australia during the 2021 Rugby Championship, while they also clashed at Twickenham in London in a warm-up fixture ahead of the 2023 Rugby World Cup. A US-based test would therefore be both a novelty and a commercial experiment, albeit one grounded in recent success. High stakes on and off the field from a rugby perspective. The stakes could hardly be higher. Both teams are expected to approach the series at full strength, with a rivalry between the reigning world champions and the most successful test side in history always carrying enormous emotional weight. Former All Black Murray Mexted has already suggested that the tour could represent Scott Robertson's hardest challenge since taking over the New Zealand job, with jobs on the line. Should the All Blacks fail to deliver against their fiercest rivals? For South Africa, the series offers a chance to assert dominance over a traditional rival on home soil and potentially on neutral ground, while continuing to build momentum following back-to-back World Cup triumphs. Off the field, the commercial implications are just as significant. Both unions are acutely aware of the financial pressures facing the modern game. A sold-out stadium in the United States, coupled with strong broadcast figures and sponsorship interest, could provide a much-needed revenue boost while laying foundations for long-term growth. Venue still to be decided, while Chicago's Soldier Field has emerged as an obvious candidate given its recent success hosting elite rugby. The report indicates that no final decision has yet been made on the specific venue. Other major U.S. cities with suitable infrastructure, large expatriate communities, and proven appetite for international sport could yet come into the frame. What is clear, however, is that SA Rugby and NZ Rugby are aligned in their belief that the right American setting could turn this test into a landmark event. With discussions reportedly progressing well, an official announcement may not be far away. A bold new chapter for an old rivalry, if confirmed. A Springboks All Blacks test in the United States would represent more than just another fixture on the calendar. It would symbolize rugby's evolving global ambitions and the willingness of its biggest brands to take calculated risks in pursuit of a broader audience. For fans, the prospect is tantalizing. Rugby's fiercest rivalry played out under unfamiliar skies, with the eyes of a growing sporting nation watching on. For the sport itself, it could be a defining moment, one that bridges tradition and innovation as rugby prepares for a pivotal decade ahead.